Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. Today we are talking about a new Academy Award nomination. This is a little different this week, folks. We got snowed out, so all of us are in our own locations. I'm here at home base at the Magic, the studio with the mostest, the purplest, I guess. I don't know why I chose purple today, but I did. Coming from me across town, whole nother town, but same county, Miss Muriah. Hi, Muriah. Thanks for
Hey.
joining us.
Hello.
How's the snow at your house?
Honestly, I can just hear the ice hitting the windows, and so
Ooh.
that's
It's going to be a nice day
really
tomorrow.
it solidifies my decision to not get in the car tonight.
Smart.
That's fair. That's fair. Pat, is there any snow up north?
There is, but none of it's going to stick. We've kept the snow we had like a week ago. It stayed cold enough that it never all melted, and today we got a light sprinkling, but nothing like you fine folks.
Yeah, we had sledding. Dottie went sledding at my buddy Jesse's house. He had the 4-wheeler. And this is the best part about it. Or the worst part. He got a new truck. And after they're done sledding, he's gonna like try to check the truck out, see if you go into town. Definitely went off the edge and got a dent in his brand new truck. And yeah. So I had to come save him with the Subi. The Subaru came to the rescue, guys.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw his little video. It didn't look terrible, but it didn't look great either.
Not good.
Especially
Not
if
good.
Oops.
I think it's a used truck, but it's like new to him. You know, it's like it's still a pretty new truck. So like,
So you just break them in early.
Yeah, you can't really beat a Subaru with traction tires on. I mean, snow tires on. You just can't beat it with studs. Like it goes over the ice like nothing. No big deal. So yeah, I felt like I was driving all day. Just another day being an Uber in the snow. That's what my job was today.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're not talking about the snow right now. We're talking about rich, spoiled kids today. And the company they keep. Guys, we have maybe the front runner, maybe right now, to win the best picture. What we're gonna do today, maybe we'll see. Tides are turning, and by the time this podcast comes out, that may completely change. But at this moment in time, this one seems to kind of be getting a little sway.
It's got some wind at its back for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Although this is already an award-winning movie. I forget which awards it was, but it's one of the few movies to ever win Best Picture and no other award.
Yeah. Got the Palme d'Or.
The Palme d'Or, but no other award. That's just like the thing. Pat, what movie are we doing today?
We have watched directed by Sean Baker, came out in 2024. And we sure did watch it.
We sure did watch it. As always, folks, we're gonna try to start out with cold brews and hot takes. And this one was a doozy for me. I've got a couple that I stole. But I'm interested to hear where you guys kind of go with this, because there's a lot of ways you can go with it. But yeah, Mariah, are you ready, or should we start with Pat like usual?
Mine's just a brief, play on words, I guess.
Ooh,
whatever.
Take us home.
I like
Take us
that.
home. I'm excited. I'm
Well,
excited.
it's just my description really of the movie. It's just a Pretty Woman meets The Hangover kind of thing. Is what it felt like for me.
It's really good, actually. That works on several levels. I was actually looking for a movie where it has this group to find. Oh, that's perfect. That is a perfect. Mariah, I was looking for that all week. I'm like, I can't think of the movie where they go around looking for someone. What is that? And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you said that. That is
all the shady,
somehow
weird,
more R-rated than The Hangover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 for sure.
Wow, that's perfect, Mariah. We can end the podcast, Pat. I don't know about you, but I'm done. I feel like fork in it.
That's all you
We're
need
out.
to know.
So good. All right, that's good. Okay, Mariah, Pat, can you follow that up? I thought that was great.
Not well, because honestly, one of the things I had was like, is this just a more realistic Pretty Woman? Which sounds absurd because it also is absurd
Sure.
for large parts of the movie. But maybe
For
my
sure.
hot take is like, was this 3 movies in one? A documentary about stripper life, a road movie, a road comedy, and then
Right. Perfect.
I don't have the third movie. I don't know what Pretty Woman meets Hangover meets, but it does take a turn into
Well, it's like your three-way.
Russian mafia something. I don't
It's
know.
like your classic three-way love story where you have the best friend who's never like the main guy being like the one, sorry,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, guys, by the way, the one that, is the muscle and just
Yeah, I was here all along. You never
Maybe we
saw
say
me.
Dawson's Creek. We could say mixed with
Whoa.
the
Pretty
Hangover,
in Pink,
Pretty
maybe.
Woman and Dawson's Creek.
Oh, yeah,
pretty
sure.
pretty in
And
pink.
Pretty in-
That's good.
Yeah. Ducky.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Ducky
down with
gets
that.
the
really
girl.
good. Ah, so good. I love that so much. Of course, this one's stolen, but makes Pretty Woman look like a Disney movie. Of course, that's my favorite one I heard so far.
Yeah.
This
It's
one,
the un-Disney princess movie.
yes, yes. It's never made. I've never seen a Russian gal look so New York. I don't know how else to put that, but it's like, or I felt like I was watching like a Boston, like one of those Boston movies. But instead of Marky Mark, it was Anora. I don't know. It's just mad and cussing at everybody. Kind of felt like that movie with Mark Wahlberg, where the girl was like just feisty all the way through.
The
Yeah,
fighter.
but
Is
the
that-
fighter.
Yeah, it's like the
that's it.
sisters in the fighter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If they were strippers and
Yeah.
got together
Sure.
with.
And they might have been, but they didn't go into that in the fighter because it's a different rating.
They'd punch
Yeah, for sure. No, this movie, I didn't realize who the director was, and if I looked at who the director was, maybe it would have been less shocking. So we
I
get
actually get into
Sean
that, I
Baker
guess.
stuff. Yeah,
I have not seen other Sean Baker stuff. I'm aware
well,
of
neither
it.
have I, but I'm aware of them. For example, the most famous one for all of us filmmakers is the one shot on an iPhone. Are we gonna? Is that? I hate to give the fun facts away if you guys were holding on to that one.
Which
But
one?
he
was
shot-
Tangerine or Red
Production.
Rocket?
Yes,
Which one was it?
Tangerine. So Tangerine,
Yeah.
I knew because it was nominated. I think it was nominated for an Academy Award, and it was shot in an iPhone 5S, which is
Wow.
crazy. I mean, it was a big step up from the 3, the 4, and the 5 were whole different phones for sure, but still, it was pretty nutty. So, yeah. All right, let's get into our reactions to the film. I mean, our hot takes kind of gave it away. Mariah, we're gonna start with you because you have the biggest lag on your side. You have the worst internet, so we're just gonna start with you.
So I can get the information as quickly as possible.
That's right.
Yeah, for when you cut out,
Well-
inevitably.
Yeah. My impression was, well, this is not what I thought, even from watching the preview, not what I thought was gonna happen in this. I didn't realize that she was so American or that or that she spoke Russian. It was like I wasn't expecting any of it. I didn't expect him to be such a pill. I don't know. None of it. The preview did not set me up for what we watched.
What about you, Seth?
I wasn't as surprised once we started getting into it. Like, I'm like, okay. Well, at first, and it felt I went Game of Thrones or Sopranos. I'm like, okay, all the sex is going to be up front, and then we're going to get to the plot later. It just felt like a modern TV show that just front loads with all the offensiveness. And yes, it's probably more realistic of, you know, what it like means to be a sex worker. I'm sure. I don't know. Sean Baker's done a lot of this stuff working with sex. Like he likes to show that area of the world. So I assume he has some cred, I think, from what I understand. So I do, as much as I prefer not to have that much sex in the movies, just generally, I understand kind of like pushing it in your face, like, no, this is really what we're dealing with right now, folks. This isn't some like Julia Roberts looking cute on the side of the road sort of situation. But yeah, so I definitely felt like more like a TV show where I'm like, okay, we'll get to the plot soon, but it seems like a lot of like it felt more like montagey movie where it's more of a feel thing. And then we finally got to the plot. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Now we're rolling. Now we're good. And so that was so I wasn't surprised by the plot really, because as soon as the kid bolted, I'm like, and it was no surprise about Igor. Like there was no surprise. Yeah. The second he walked in and said like, sorry, I'm like, okay, he's going to be the love interest. Like I was like, it's over. I'm already calling this. Not surprising at all. Like, yeah. Because I didn't develop the kid at all. So obviously I was like, oh yeah, I know this storyline. But yeah, I was like, okay, is this gonna be the whole movie? I was like, this is gonna be rough to watch if it's this much sex the whole movie. And it was a lot of sex through the whole movie, but I just felt like I'm like, okay, just get past this. We'll get to the plot eventually. So that was my kind of like
not just
practical thoughts.
There's a story.
Yeah. Yeah, way to go.
Yeah, well, I'll be curious for us to dig into like, is Igor the love interest, or what does that even mean in this movie?
Right. Good point, Pat.
Because I think
that's too black and white. I agree.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think like anyone who probably hasn't seen it, I was pretty surprised by that a literal third of the movie was just preamble to the plot. Yeah. And it like, I think what's interesting about this movie, the structure of it is set up in a more typical way, but they keep subverting expectations in that, like, I thought I'm going to learn to like Vanya or Yvonne and understand why there would be this connection. And you kind of just go, like he's got a charm in a general way, but it's like he's also the worst too. And so it like, and again, I think the movie follows through on all these things, but it's set up in a structure that I'm like, I'm expecting different outcomes. And again, I was shocked by how much we learned about stripper life. And I was honestly like, that's a lot of work. The amount of hustle she was doing at the beginning is crazy.
Oh, can I talk about that real quick? Yeah. I thought, man, you really have to be kind of this outgoing, like connect with people person. I'm like that skill set is real useful. Like I could use that skill set in a whole other different fields, because she's just like connecting right away and like seeing what, like,
let's go to the ATM.
I was like, oh, that was so good. Like just problem solving. Like I was like, that's really, I mean, you probably don't want to do an internship in this sort of field, but man, those are some useful skills. Meeting like, everybody where they're at, knowing how to play that game. I was like, man, that is some skill. She could be selling some stocks. She could be like pushing some product. There's just a lot of things she could have been doing with that skill set.
Yeah, and
she spoke Russian. Jeez.
Yeah, I guess not that I ever thought stripping was easy or something, but like the view you get through pop culture is hardly from strippers' angles. It's people it's a transactional space.
Yes.
And you're in and you're out, and you're like, I'm not thinking about how many dudes did this person have to talk to before you got like a lap dance or whatever. It's like, I have no thoughts about the economic situation of a strip club. But then the movie was like, similar to Conclave. I didn't know how interesting it was to learn about how you pick a pope until someone showed me. I think the stripper
I can't
workplace
believe you
is
compared this to Conclave.
is
That's
fairly
so
interesting,
good.
right? I think
Oh,
that's
that's
what
so good.
I was kind of shocked by. And I was kind of bummed that we leave to the Vegas of it all. Because I was like, well, I was interested a little bit in like the dynamics of
the
like
nuts and bolts, Pat.
yeah.
How you
would I
get from
start
the
one of
stage
these?
to the lap dance to the private room? Like, how
Yeah,
does
or
this
even just
procedure work?
the politics and like, did you dance with that guy yesterday? It was like, yeah, what about it? And it's like they claim John's. I don't know. It was interesting.
You got your whale. I see you got your whale. That was a good
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, and it was all weird and uncomfortable, but also interesting.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. No, it's good. Yeah. Man, they front loaded that movie.
Heavy. Too much, I would say.
I would too.
It's like
I
okay.
I would like to say I'm an adult, but I was like, okay, all right.
It was just a lot.
It was a lot.
It was just a lot. And I think what you got out of the scenes, forgive me for like jumping in, I guess, to dissecting the movie. It felt like what you were getting out of the scenes, there were bits and pieces where you're like, oh, you see her trying to dig her kind of claws in a way. And then also him, like the power balance of it all was kind of interesting. But the scenes were like 10x what you needed to get that information across, right? And I was like, okay, we're not getting like story anymore here. So now I feel weird about it. But
yeah, I think that's how it kind of felt for me too, just the difference between like what my expectations were versus what actually happened. And it was, you kind of get the idea that she was just swept off her feet. But I think she was just like really looking for a better opportunity, even though she wasn't really entirely convinced that either one of them were in it for romantic reasons.
Yeah.
100%. So that differed. A very Pretty Woman piece of it, though, was like how much for the week, and she's even, it comes right even down to saying like, oh, this much. And then she counter offers, and then she said, I would have done it for this. And he said, I would have paid this. I was like, that's almost verbatim woman. Like, oh my gosh.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, it was a lot, but I think, it's still okay. I don't want to jump ahead to like how Oscar baity is this right away, but I kept kind of thinking about that. I'm like, man, they just want to, it's almost sometimes I feel when you're making a movie for Oscars, like, oh yeah, does this make you more uncomfortable? Then we're going to do more of this. Like just kind of piling it on a little more to make it just a little more like, oh, you think you don't like sex? We'll put way more sex in, just to kind of like really show if you're a real snob, then you can handle all of this.
Well, it's very American of us, to be honest, right? Like if people were murdering each other in the
or
first
French,
third.
Come on, don't think we get titles. French have been doing it before we have for a while now. Come on.
Well, no, but I'm saying like being uncomfortable with it.
Oh, sure.
Right? We're like, why aren't there more murders at the beginning of this?
Yeah.
Where I'm comfortable in my safe space with violence. It was like, whoa, nudity.
Yeah, that's just
bring on the Uzis.
Yeah. So it felt in a lot of ways, maybe it felt more like a foreign film in that way. Because it was like, people get naked and have sex, deal with it, and you're like, okay, I'm trying. Well, then I think though it didn't feel like the movie really started till our comedic friends join.
He's out,
right? Like where there was true conflict. And I think that's where, again, like the setup makes sense for a different movie. But I think because the payoffs were different, it was like, oh, I don't know what to think about that first third. Because it didn't really, other than I think being like, here's a bunch of transactional relationships, right? These aren't real relationships. They're all based off money. and power dynamics. There's nothing authentic happened in the first third of the movie or something.
Okay, I
right?
have an interesting thought about that, which I'm
And
kind of
and proximity too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just the fact that they were all close and available, just the
Hmm.
proximity of it too, was like, oh, they just are right there.
Yeah, these are easy relationships to have.
Mm-hmm.
And it does change like the way you look at sex. It's like it really puts in your face like what is this to this group of people? Like what is this element? And even all the way to the last scene, frankly, which is a very like I think that last scene almost made the film.
Yeah.
In the sense of like figuring out this dynamic. So I assume don't want to pretend I know what the director's thinking, but Sean Baker was like, "Say this is so much of this that to think of this as a relationship isn't because usually when you think about movies, you're like, oh yeah, sex equals relationship." But in this situation, that's not necessarily. I don't know if he's trying to like separate that. I don't know, but it feels like it's just a thing that's not what it is to most other movies. I don't know. That would be my only kind of like maybe insight. He's trying to rip it apart for what the lie that sex is sometimes. So that would be my trying to be deep and figure out what Sean Baker's trying to tell us.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that's right, but they put it into this gray area because they end up getting married. Right? Like I think when it feels all transactional, that part of it, I go, okay, yeah, I understand it. And then like the marriage part, there's like, okay, like this also doesn't feel real because you never see them like fall in love. Right.
No.
Like, so it remains transactional.
Fall in love.
Committed.
You just
situation.
assume there's an emotional attachment mostly because of the way she fiercely defends it and is unwilling to give it up, or she keeps having faith that he's going to defend her. Like I think there's like they are almost, or she wants it to be almost like she wanted to believe that he really cared. And
I was thinking about this, Mariah.
She didn't want to go back.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too. Because do you think, Pat? I think we're on the same page here. I think it's almost like she doesn't want to lose face, so she has to keep her position, whether or not. Because I don't know if she actually feels that way about him, because she says things like, "He's my husband, not I love him." Like there's just like the language I think was very intentional of like, I've staked out my claim and you're going to have to fight me and pay me, and I'm going to have to be well compensated for this situation, which is now upon me. And then, and so it's,
I think she cares for him more than his mother does. And that they're both defending their status. They're both defending their perceived value in this situation. Like, I want to win because of this. The mom doesn't care about him and the fact that she doesn't feel like this is the right person for him. She's more just like, you're going to embarrass the family.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Look terrible. And then Anora is also in the whole like, no, we're married, this is my husband, I'm sticking with this, because if you take this away from me and I go right back to what I was before, then I lose face in front of everybody. I walked out of that strip club and I'm gonna go live in my mansion now.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
They're both killing each other for certainly not real feelings, but I think Anora had faith that he had feelings, is what she probably was, is what the idea I got.
Yeah, or just was indifferent to that part. But no, I think Mariah, that's a great observation. Sort of the mirror dynamics of the two women who are fighting for status and against embarrassment.
Mm.
And like even the relationships between like Annie is more confident, stronger than Vanya, and his mom is stronger, more confident than his dad. Like, so they had even the same kind of power dynamics in the relationship in a way.
I don't know if he's more confident. I think that's not the right word because the dad is obviously the power, but he lets things go.
Yeah,
I don't know if confidence is the right word.
Sure.
He matches the immaturity of Vanya. He's just everything's kind of funny and flip to him, and like, oh, these guys
doesn't
are
take life seriously in the same way the women were taking it.
Because he's got the power, he doesn't have to take it serious. But for her, she fought to get to that position. You know, like that's the thing I loved about the dad laughing at what Anora said on the plane. I thought that was the best moment of the absurdity of perceived power for the two women, because they're both trying to like stick, like that was a great little power struggle, and the dad's like, it's all this game anyway. That's what it felt like to me. I'm like, it's
and even the mom using that at that, like her berating him as like both she's not wrong about you, and also like she's such a low status, like the layered dynamics of like I agree 100% with this woman right now, who I don't want anything to do with, was interesting. That they were like on the same team for a sec because of how much they both were disappointed in Vanya. I did like that.
Yeah, that was great.
Also, I think again, Mickey Madison. How you say
Good
it?
question. I assume Mickey.
Not Mikey.
Yeah, I've heard it and I can't remember right now.
Hey,
anyway,
Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my head, Mickey.
Like she's great early on, especially like the little conflict stuff with Diamond early. Like the personality comes out, but when the mob guys come, I feel like she gets to like really go to 11, and that was like entertaining to me. That was like the most fun, assuming hey, this movie's kind of a comedy. That was fun. Because those side characters were very compelling and sad sack, right? Like everyone's dealing with powers above them and status above them. That was all pretty fun.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when the movie started clicking for me. But then the driving side of like, why does Mickey care? But then it's not about Vanya, right? It's about the money. Anyway, I kept struggling with that part of it, but I didn't enjoy her tete-a-tete with these guys, and then eventually they get on the same team, and in a weird way, right? Because they're all lower status than their bosses. I thought that was fun. And anytime someone gets their nose broken in these situations, for some reason, that's always humorous to me. Tough guys with broken noses who whine about it the rest of the movies. I do enjoy
too.
Yeah.
Well, and part of me thought maybe he was gonna die at some point. Like his concussion was so bad that you're just like, he's gonna not just fall asleep in the car, he's gonna die in the car when they leave him in there.
Well, they're giving him random drugs from Igor's grandma or something. I forget where he even got the drugs. But yeah, that was all great, I thought. And then there's this sort of looming, the parents are coming. What's this going to mean for everybody?
The priest
showdown. Yeah.
So funny.
But then I think I agree, Seth, and I think probably most people would say that last scene in the car is sort of like the most compelling.
The emptiness and the full circle of what was the beginning. Like it just breaks you, because the only way she knows how to connect, and then she finally breaks. It's just
and she just stops. That's just the point where she finally stops fighting. She stops trying to control the situation or get it to go her way. Like that's the that's where the fight really ended.
And what makes it like kind of snobby is that she had sex instead of just hugging or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that made it kind of tragic. It was this.
Well, that was the language she knew
Exactly
how to
right.
use, right? Like that was how
exactly right. And
he was nice to her, and so she
was
thought, I need to give you
trilingual,
sex.
guys. She was trilingual.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well done.
Wow, Mariah. Of course you came up with that
Okay.
one. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
I might be
I'm
cutting
glad I
out,
didn't
but
come
I
up
got
with
a
that
couple
one.
tidbits to
Yeah.
add in.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that was
English was
to
her
me-
second best language.
to me. I sort of recognized that. I guess I'm curious whether it takes you up, because I thought it felt more obvious to me than the director and Mickey Madison were like, no, it's open to interpretation. To me, it felt like, despite all the dysfunction, she felt safe enough with him in that moment to let her guard down and let the last 48 hours sink
Finally.
in, right?
Yeah.
It's like when someone's dealing with something traumatic and they're like, I have to be strong. And the second they can stop, it's like, blah, like I've seen that happen a bunch of times. So that's what it looked like.
Yeah. For example, Pat, in the movie where they can't find the guy who's about to get married and they're looking all over Vegas and they just got let down after they've had a crazy night of party. Oh, sorry. That's
Out in the desert.
out in the desert.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the best take, Mariah. I'm doing that. That's so good. So good.
Did you die? Did you die?
Bro, we're in Thailand. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So,
did you guys have a different interpretation really of that? I don't know how else to interpret it.
No, I don't.
To be honest,
it's not vague. It's pretty straightforward. I thought. I don't know why it's like so snobby because there's more sex. Like I don't get it. Like it's a good movie. It's fine. It's one of those things. Unfortunately, because it's like basically just looking for the weirdo dude. It does feel so much like The Hangover. I was like, oh, it's like I've seen this trope before, and I couldn't picture The Hangover. I so wish I would have figured out The Hangover. I'm so mad you got that before me, Mariah. I'm just so mad.
I got it.
Because that's the whole thing. Like after that, like it's like this whole like show of like going things to things. It was kind of fun, like when Igor like broke everything with the bat. He like grabbed the bat from the guys and the bro. Like, oh yeah, he's still a thug. Like his job is still the muscle. Like that was kind of a nice like. He's not like a good dude, but he's a nice bad dude. If that makes sense. Like it was like
right.
Kind of a
he's
fun,
got
like,
manners, but he also has a job.
But he's still like was gonna break your leg if he needs to. You know what I mean? Like he's got.
Well, yeah, ethic. And I think he was like, I will kill her if that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, I think when he first got there, it wasn't like that's not what he was thinking he had.
No, it was he'll be polite when he does it, but he'll still kill her, for sure.
Got manners, but he's not a murderer.
He also kind of reminds me of like John Travolta's character in the Tarantino movie.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yes. Yes.
Like he's like you really like him, but you know he's like a murderer.
Yeah. I thought of Pulp Fiction a couple times actually. I was actually thinking, I'm like, this reminds me of Quentin Tarantino driving around trying to figure out what they need to do next. Then there's the dead. That's why I figured the one guy would die. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be Pulp Fiction. So that was actually I almost said it was like half Pretty Woman, half Pulp Fiction. But Pulp Fiction's such a good movie. Like I didn't want to I almost felt bad bringing that up.
It's got more ingredients.
So many more ingredients. That's just like one part of the. You know what they call a quarter pounder in Europe?
A Royale with cheese.
The Royale with cheese. Oh, it's such a good movie. Anyways, so that was my. I thought of that, but I did not think of The Hangover. I'm still mad I didn't think of The Hangover. Yeah. So no, I this is one of those situations where I feel like people are giving it more snobby points than it deserves because it's so sexual, because it's so like subculture, because it's so I get it. I think it's well acted. I think it's fun. It's a little goofier than it should be at times for like such a serious matter, but that's fine too. That's a choice. That's a choice. But then you also have like,
Rochelle.
yeah, this
A
is
young girl's erotic journey from New York to Las Vegas.
and she got paid. Girlfriend got paid. And
You guys not know that reference? That's a Seinfeld reference.
oh, Pat, you got me again. Darn it.
Rochelle.
Darn you, Patrick. And this is Sean Baker's most successful film by far. So like, hey, way to go. This is like his crowning moment. Because he's been doing movies with like sex workers and like different orientations. So this is kind of like his like crowning moment of a movie right now. So we'll see what he does next, but it's kind of interesting because he'll figure out where he goes from here. So
Well, yeah, a few years back, Willem Dafoe got a lot of recognition for Florida Project, right? So like, he's had some. That had a pretty good awards run because of Willem Dafoe, I think.
hey, he's
More than some of the other ones.
William DeFriend is never wrong, man. He picks good parts.
Right.
William DeFriend never he knows how to get good parts, baby.
Yeah. All right. Should we get into? Oh, go on.
Go right.
I was just gonna say, I kind of considered the snobbiness factor was a lot to do with the $6 million budget,
Yeah, it's true.
and
They
also
killed in the box office.
just what he did with the production. You know, like all the different cameras he used and the way he filmed it. Kind of, I felt like that maybe felt more snobby. Like the film is this, it's good. I mean, it's a good movie.
That was great.
I like. But I felt like maybe it was the fact like, ooh, we just took this teeny budget and made this, and then also we did it with this. That was kind of the snobby factor I felt for this one. But
yeah, I mean, it's an auteur movie, right? It's very him, and you know.
Side note: speaking of snobby, shot on 35mm film. That is dope for a low budget film.
When I was reading the production about it, I was like, well, Seth would like this just for the whole production paragraph on this film. Like, whoa. And also his previous job, Seth.
Yes, that was going to be in the fun facts.
What? Tell me, I don't know.
He was a wedding video editor.
What?
Yes.
And apparently, apparently a lot of Russian American weddings.
Oh, bro, those make bank.
And
I've shot a couple of those. Those are legit.
He thought, what's the situation behind these weddings?
Yeah.
And
Stop
that's where
it.
the idea came from.
Stop it.
We just got Seth with the best fun facts.
So
I've heard.
10 more years, you can direct your own Anora.
No, I can't.
Movie.
No, I can't. Mine will be like the cowboy barn culture of weddings. That'll be mine.
Yeah, well, still. It'll be your version.
Funny.
You can't just remake this, but
it'll be a murder mystery. It'll be like a murder mystery cowboy barn wedding.
Oh, don't get my wife excited. She loves murder mysteries. Good night.
She can write
so funny.
And then you guys can get the Oscar together.
There you
go. That's a great fun fact.
Did you see he and his producer wife, some of the things they did to help with the making of this?
No,
there wasn't an intimacy coordinator. Apparently, Mickey Madison was like, "No, it's fine." But Sean Baker and his wife would be like, do it like this, as they'd get in the positions they wanted them to do.
Stop.
Yeah. So it's a real collaborative situation. I think they were clothed, but you never know. But yeah, real collaboration.
I am keeping my mouth shut, and it's real hard. Just for the record.
Yeah.
My face is just getting redder and redder as we talk
Yeah.
about this movie.
That's why I shoot mine in the flat profile that I shoot mine in. That's why I do that.
There you go.
There was actually a decent amount. I'm just going right into fun facts. More fun.
I love it. Fun facts, boys. We're on. And girl.
Actually, a decent amount of improvisation in this movie, believe it or not. So all of the stripper stuff, basically, at the beginning, when she's working the room, they filmed for about 30 minutes.
He's awesome.
Long lens, and all those people are just extras, and she's just working the room, and she's doing it as if it was real, and all the interactions are like legit. And she did.
I'm a Mickey Madison fan right now.
Yeah.
Way to go, Mickey! Those are great. Like that. Those are such fun. Like, oh, you're like just working the crowd here. This is crazy.
Yeah, and
ad lib.
She did a lot. She did a lot of prep for this.
He needs to be in the next, Waiting for Guffman or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's to get the ad lib skills
Once
like that.
she did hang out with some strippers, and then Diamond, I think, is a real stripper, and so gave some consulting, make sure things were accurate,
as one does.
And then the other bit was when they're looking for Vanya, and they go to that, I guess, Russian restaurant, like on the pier or whatever. That was all.
That's what it would appear.
People, and they just went, all right, let's just go ask if they've seen this guy. And so they just wandered around this restaurant with a little camera as I forget his name, was just like, do you know who this is? And
you can just do that?
I guess so. I mean, I seemed like he went to Disney World or whatever, and
I'm making a movie next week, guys.
Project on
I'm
the
just
DL.
gonna do it. I'm gonna go to the couple coffee shops and just make a movie. I'm not gonna ask anybody. Just gonna go do it. That's cool.
Yeah. So they're all very in character, and they just sometimes had to run with it.
Dang, that's gangster. That's some gangster filming right there. Just like out of nowhere.
Well, it also explains the little bit managing to pull that off. We just didn't tell anybody we were filming. Just walk through.
I'm gonna say this. Sean Baker makes me want to make films, even though I would never make a film like him. The stuff he does is so. He'll do a shoestring budget. He'll do an iPhone movie. He'll just do things. And that's so cool as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And it's very encouraging. Like, the whole reason we got into this thing is because I wanted to watch better movies to be a better filmmaker. And this movie is not my cup of tea, for the record. But what Sean Baker does, that's some gangster stuff to just make movies from and him and his wife are just like, oh, let's just do this. And that's way to go.
He wants to make tell stories.
I don't think I was even cheering for this movie to be like best picture, but if it wins, I won't be sad. I take it back. I won't be sad. Because Sean Baker, way to go, buddy. Way to go. I like that you have a different perspective than I do, but way to go.
I appreciate his efforts, but I'll be sad.
Yeah.
It's best picture.
And I like that he goes about it from a perspective I never would have. And I don't want to either, just for the record.
Yeah.
Like it seems like a hard place to do movies at. But yeah, the way you do it, that's so rad. That's very cool and inspiring. So I might go shoot some movies next week, folks.
Yeah. Another fun surprising behind. No, it's fine. It's good. Mark Edelstein, who plays Vanya, apparently
easy for you to say.
Apparently did his audition tape in the nude because he's got to be nude in the movie, so I guess be comfortable with it. So it's a choice. It's a choice.
Apparently a good choice.
Yeah, apparently a good choice. And then the other one, getting back to like Sean Baker's kind of a boss. He is only the fourth person to be nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Film Editing for the same film.
He edited
Coen
this
Brothers
thing. That
and
mother.
Chloe Zhao are the only other ones. And Coen Brothers, that's
Oh,
like
Chloe
kind of
Zhao.
one person, right?
Yeah.
So
I
pretty
know
good.
the Coen Brothers did their own editing. I mean, it makes sense, but
So that's pretty good.
impressive.
And then
That's
my
really
last
impressive.
one, which kind of got into like, what did Annie get out of all of this? So she got like whatever, 15 grand for the week.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then all the fun. Apparently the ring, they said, was valued at about 160 grand. So assuming they were telling the truth about the quality of it, she got 160 grand at the end of it.
That's a good fun fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Those are my fun. Oh no, I have two more. Sorry.
Ooh,
Oh, I have
hot dog.
one more. We mentioned it. Sorry. Apparently Sean Baker didn't realize the similarities of Pretty Woman till they were about halfway through shooting, and someone brought it up, and he was like, "Oh, that makes sense." And he was like, "I'm not gonna watch anything about the movie. I don't want to be influenced." But it apparently didn't pop into his head that this is oddly like another film.
That's
Yeah.
so funny. That's great. I mean, good for him for not connecting that right away. I was like, what Julia Roberts am I ripping off this week? I think about that daily. Daily.
My fun facts. Those are all the ones I had.
Oh, I'm so mad about it. I didn't figure out. I didn't know the wedding thing before you guys did. That is so frustrating. Of all the films, that is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I had to add was that Sean had Mickey in mind because he'd seen her in the Scream movie 2022 one with Jenny Ortega.
And
Martin Scorsese's movie. I mean,
no.
Quentin Tarantino's movie. Tarantino's movie.
Once Upon a Time
in Hollywood.
In Hollywood. I was like, which one is it? Not America,
Come on,
not
man.
Mexico,
Come on, it's not
I couldn't
Sergio
remember.
Leone.
I couldn't remember.
I went into my dad and I were talking about Sergio Leone, like, because he remembers all those movies coming out. Like, all those, like, when those Clint Eastwood movies came out. So we had a big, long discussion about it.
Well, and wasn't Once Upon a Time in Mexico, that was
terrible.
That Johnny Depp, where he somehow got his eyes shot out and they were just black.
No, that was that. Is that really? Because it was that was on the Antonio Banderas movie and the other one. Yeah, I was like the third or the fourth.
Yeah,
that's called Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
It sure was.
So lazy.
Directed by Robert Rodriguez.
I mean, I love Robert Rodriguez. Sorry, must love you, buddy. You kill it. But that movie was the worst of the three, ironically enough.
Oh, for sure. But you get a blind Johnny Depp, based off sound at the end. That's pretty good.
That was a cool scene. I like that scene. I mean, the scene where they ripped his eyes out, that was rough, but other than that, pretty good. Oh my gosh, what a crazy movie!
All connected.
What a crazy movie!
It's so crazy.
Anora is. Oh, I don't even know how to. I don't have a timer here, so I don't know if are we wrapping up already? Because I got.
I think we're getting close. Okay. I do want to have a little. I want to share my existential crisis with you guys.
Ooh, I love. Usually that's Mariah's job.
Well, I like this movie. Okay. I appreciated what this movie did.
Wedding filmographer, come on, baby. Our editor.
The fact, though, that is a Best Picture nominee to me is like,
okay,
so strange. And then you go, what have we watched? We got Amelia Perez. It's like, and I know it's all related to Seth's Oscar stuff. My brain is just like, is this better than, have I not seen better movies than these 10 this year? Anyway, Seth, go on. Help me understand.
This isn't a great year of Oscars. Let's just say it as it is. Last year's was so good.
It was
Zone
really
of Interest was better than every movie on this list. Past Lives, I think, is better than every movie on this list. We have movies last year were really good. They were really good. Like, I think this year like you said earlier, big swings. No one really hit. No one really hit.
Yeah.
This isn't a
Or
good year.
maybe they got a bloop double, right?
So
it's like it
yeah.
wasn't hit hard, but you got to second base.
Yeah. And you know what? So
found
what?
the gap.
We never got one
Way to
car wide
bunt.
this year.
Way to bunt.
Yeah, way to bunt.
Big bunts.
A hit and run. It was a hit and run. It wasn't quite
There
a
was
home
an
run.
error on the field, and you made it to third.
Fielder's
maybe.
choice, whatever. You know what? It's fine. This isn't a great year of movies because a lot of these movies are like a great part of a movie, but you don't have all these movies that like kind of killed it. Like Barbie was better than Wicked.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is better than what's the big movie? Is there even a big movie that compares to
Dune?
Oppenheimer this year? No, there's
Dune
not, is
would
there?
be Dune Part 2 would be the
Dune
big
Dune
Dune
Part
one.
2. Okay, that one's hard. I love Dune Part 2 so much,
Pretty
but
great.
it's not going to get any credit because it's Dune Part 2.
I know.
And it's 2, which is the bummer part about the whole thing because Dune is a great freaking movie, but
well, and like
Oppenheimer's a big movie.
Civil War is not better than most of these movies. You know,
people don't like Civil War because it's,
I
they
know,
feel
it's
like it's not
crazy.
enough. I feel like it's just it doesn't miss. Civil War doesn't miss, but they want it to be something else. I haven't seen the Brutalist yet, and so maybe that's going
I'm
to be
still
like
here. Maybe
the
it's
creme
great.
de la creme of like, oh, this is what makes the whole year worth it. Maybe, I don't know. It's the only one I haven't seen. A Complete Unknown. I love A Complete Unknown. We haven't
Well,
talked
great.
about it yet.
That to me is squarely in the list.
Yeah,
I'm
great.
not thrown by all these movies, but I think
Ray, that's in the same vein as Ray and Walk the Line. Like it's a
Yeah.
very good biop of one of the most famous musicians who changed music. Totally cool with that. Yeah, but it's hard because like I'll be talking about Zone of Interest for a long time, and I'll be talking about Oppenheimer for a long time, and I'll be talking about Past Lives for a long time. But I'm going to forget about Anora pretty quick. I mean, I like Sean Baker being a wedding guy who like did stuff, but let's just be real now. Like, and Wicked
You
was
like
like
the fun facts better than the actual movie.
100%. And so that's how I felt about the other ones. Because even Poor Things was a better scandalous movie than Anora. Like that. Like how many? That's the crazy thing about it. And I get it. We had a writer's strike, and then but I figure like we should have more good movies this year because of like they've all stopped, and then we got a bunch of them all of a sudden. But that wasn't the case. So that's the crazy thing about it. So maybe I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I also don't know. I think that's why I'm having a crisis because I like the movie.
Join the club.
I like the movie fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
I'm glad I watched it, but it's not. I'm like, really?
Who would you suggest it to?
Top
also,
10?
That's fun too. Like,
Yeah, you don't.
You know what you should see?
People who tell me their porn doesn't have enough story in it. I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, you might like it. I know.
You want some substance in your pornography?
Yeah, you want some actual
your,
pathos in there? Then Anora.
Did you call the plumber?
Yeah.
Did you call the Russian mail order bride?
Yeah, because again, like she's great in it. Like,
oh yeah, she kills it.
But you kind of go.
Zoe kills it in Amelia Perez, but guess what? It's still Amelia Perez. So there you go.
Yeah. It's just I kind of ran into
Ray Fiennes kills it in Conclave. Dare I go on? Dare I go on?
No, I think Kimberly was like, "So is Oscar worthy, huh?" You know, and I'm like, I guess
that's what they said.
I think she liked it, fine,
but
great. Like, you know, this and the substance too, right? Like, there's just all these things where you go,
it's good, but
I mean, the
Oscar?
substance is not my favorite horror movie of the year. Not even
right.
And so you kind of go, I don't know what we're doing here. You know, I don't know what we're doing here.
Welcome to my side, Pat. Welcome. The water's great.
We're staying busy watching some movies. We'll question it all deeper later.
We will make our own list.
And what's
We should
crazy
make
to me, like
our
you
top
mentioned at the
10
beginning,
list.
Seth, the wind is at the back of Anora because other fun dynamics, Twitter usage from other movies, and AI. No one is going, you know what? Let's give it to the legit great movies all around, Dune Part 2
Dune
and or
2.
Wicked. And or Wicked. Like,
Yeah.
those are like,
That's fine.
what are you going to complain about those movies for?
Yeah.
All the other movies you can go, yeah, it was pretty good, except
They
for,
made too much money, Pat. They're not from a
Except for-
studio. They're
yeah.
not from Neon or
it's
A24.
too good.
You can't get a major studio an Oscar anymore.
Yeah, we don't give Oscars to Canadians.
We have to give Oscars to the subsidiaries of the major studios. Everyone knows that.
So anyway, I'm just thrown a little bit. I'm just
You're
thrown.
joining my dark side, Pat. Welcome.
I hear you. And yeah, a good actress does not make a top 10 movie. Sad.
No.
I mean, if it did, then this does deserve to be in the top 10. I feel like she did a great job. But yeah.
And I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the rest of the cast, but they're not
Yeah. Oh,
an
but they're
all-timer, you know.
sometimes they're goofy, sometimes they're nice, and that's it. They're one-sided. Like, but yeah.
It's
it's not real. Other than her, I wouldn't be like, you know who else should have been nominated?
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I guess Vanya, like, he probably did exactly what he was supposed to do. Like,
Again, he was not as bad as the other
but also
guys.
was so annoyed by him the whole time, right? Like, because you want him. I think that gets to I kind of blame Sean Baker because he kept subverting expectations and playing with form, which is maybe what Oscar baity movies do.
Maybe.
But it was like, oh, you set this up as if I should like Vanya and think these two people should get together so that I'm rooting for them or something in the middle of the movie. And you kind of go, I don't know what I'm rooting for. I don't know that I want her to go back to just stripping. You know, like she doesn't want to do it. So like, what is this?
What's the win here? Where's the dub?
I think the thing I will give it credit for is like, yeah, all this is kind of how it would work.
Yeah.
All these bad people, you know, they get nicked and maybe a couple of people get paid off and it's like, it's all kind of gross.
Yeah.
That's very realistic to me. Like I wasn't like, oh, come on, nothing like this would happen. It was like,
and all of these people are motivated by desperation and, you know, like, I'm going to lose my job. My family's going to starve. They're going to kill me.
Yeah, they're going to kill me. Exactly right.
Fun motivations for this.
Hey, what did Nora's sister do for work? You know, who's paying most of the rent? Because I think Nora worked really hard, seemingly.
Was that her sister?
Or whatever her roommate was. I don't know. Whoever was asking for milk. Did you get milk?
It was not her sister.
And I was like, do you see milk in the fridge? No. I didn't.
That was really all
that felt like a sibling thing.
It did, but it also felt like just a roommate who's angry.
Yeah.
Right. That.
But you know, it's like, what was that person doing?
Yeah,
how are you helping?
Well, she did say you can meet my sister anytime, so she must have been.
Yeah, I thought that's why I thought it was her sister.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, so what do we normally do? Should this win any awards?
Awards. Should it win any? Oh my gosh, we already know how we feel. This is the hard part about it. Hey guys, if you listen to 4 or 5 episodes now, guess what? We think the movie has no chance of winning should win. There you go. But this one is the only movie that has a chance to beat The Brutalist for Best Picture.
Which is crazy.
Now I haven't watched The Brutalist yet, so I don't know. Because I ain't got 17 hours yet. But I will.
Sean Baker should win something, maybe. I think he's an interesting individual. I think he does a lot of stuff.
Did he get a Best Director nom?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this got. Yeah.
So who?
Picture, director, screenplay, editing.
I think he should get the editing because he did it. I don't know.
No.
You don't want him to get it?
How hard is it to edit
He cut down a 30-minute improv into 2 minutes of screen time.
Please, I call that a Tuesday.
Yeah, or compared to Zone of Interest, speaking of,
Yeah,
how do you
please.
cut
Oh,
like
that's
300 hours
nothing.
down into
That
a
is
couple hours?
nothing.
Woo!
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
no,
don't.
this should not probably get Best Picture, but I think Sean Baker should get props for something.
He got nominated. He gets props. He got paid. His is his highest grossing film. He's fine.
Okay, well, when we
He's
get down
fine.
to it, you pick who deserves all of those nominations above
Best
him, or
director?
who deserves.
I mean, I still think Denis should get it, but that's another story altogether. Like,
Yes,
honestly, and then in cinematographer, like I lean. Well, it's hard because we haven't talked about all the movies yet. Because I lean like
I was
there's a
gonna say,
lot of
when we get there, we need to
Yes.
talk about that.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mikey Madison.
I like
apologize.
her.
I forget
do
which one.
like her.
So
So-
we've seen almost everybody except
Yes.
for the I'm Still Here Fernanda Torres. Where do you rank her over Demi
Oh,
or with Demi Moore, Cynthia Erivo, and Carla Sofia Gascon?
I like her better. I'm gonna say it. I think Demi Moore in The Substance is overrated. I think she's getting it
I don't
because
know
it's
about
Demi
that.
Moore. No, I do.
I
I
think
think
she
don't
does
think
way
either
more than Demi.
I think
I think
and
Cynthia
Demi
Erivo
Moore
does way more.
maybe neck and neck for me. Cynthia Erivo is great.
No, I would only give it to her over Demi. I think because who's nude the most?
Mickey Madison.
That's the problem with these two, though. I do feel they give because they're both burying themselves body and soul. Are they getting unfair advantages for the Oscar? Maybe, I don't know. But that's another thing where we're not like, it's hard to think about like what, because Demi, I felt when I was watching The Substance, it still felt like Demi Moore. And I don't know this actress, so I see her transform in this movie 3 different ways as being like
she is a California girl, so she's not from New York.
great New York,
Doesn't
and
speak
great
Russian. And she's not a stripper.
No, she put the work in for this movie. She learned the Russian.
Yeah, so
she
that
stayed
is
in the
pretty
Bronx,
legit.
she-
Like
Brooklyn.
yeah.
She stayed.
Demi Moore was
did
playing a
put the work-
version of herself, right? And that was she was asked to do,
Yeah.
and I think she did that pretty well. And then
Yeah.
wore a lot of
Hey, she
makeup. That's not nothing.
Yeah. So I would give her. I would not be mad if she won Best Actress. I'd be a little bummed if this won Best Picture.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would be my
I could live with
feeling
that for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I'm actually expecting a lot of nudity jokes at the Oscars because of these movies.
Yes, I hope so.
Because before it was just like
Yeah,
Poor
I mean,
Things.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Poor Things was like the only one that was like super nudity, and then now we have 2.
Well, now we'll have to go through
3?
the list and be like, how much nudity do you have to get a nom or a win? And then
It's for especially if they win.
men and
Well,
women, men and
yeah.
women.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's
I
going
mean, we'll
both
see.
ways.
Yeah. So that's my feeling. I feel like I would be stoked. I would be totally happy if she won Best Actress. I wouldn't be happy if it won anything else. That's how I feel.
Okay. Okay.
Is this movie snobby?
Yeah.
I think so.
Because it's not with this much sex, like you have to
It's
like
not cliche at all. That's for
right.
Sure.
It's also not like accessible to the public as well. It's a little upsetting because it is kind of a trope, but it's not the exact same trope. So I don't know. It feels like it's a fresh take in a way that kind of makes you think. And it won't. I don't think it'll be something that like everybody sees. And Sean Baker's not like him alone. If you watch his movies, you're like, oh yeah. I watched Tangerine, and then I watched this, so I knew this. That's kind of snobby. So yeah, in the vein of his movies, it's kind of snobby. So
yeah, knowing he directed makes you a little bit snobby.
A little bit snobby.
Oh,
Yeah,
probably.
exactly right. You're like, you know what? Great wedding
I like
wedding
Sean Baker,
videographer.
actually. Yeah, he
Actually, wedding
directed. He edited my wedding. He made pretty good movies like this.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's snobby, and I think there's stuff to appreciate about it. It's not my best picture, but I think there's plenty to appreciate about what they did and what they tried in this movie.
Oh, I don't disagree with that, and I love that they like the budget and the box office. That's great. But a lot of nudity flicks do that. What? Who said that?
Hey, it didn't work. What was the movie?
Don't make it to theaters
with Jesse
big
Spano.
theater.
It did not work out.
No,
she was like was it Showgirls? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Showgirls. That's right.
It's not. It doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Okay, here's a new question. We haven't done this question yet, which I can't believe we haven't done it. Is this the snobbiest movie of the top 10 nominated pictures?
No.
Ooh, okay, go.
I think the Substance is snobbier.
Oh. Why? I mean, I don't disagree at all, but why?
Well, there's no trope in the Substance.
Except it's a horror.
No.
I mean,
Yeah, but it's never been done like that.
It's the
lady
Fly.
empowerment.
You know, it's funny.
It's
I
way more
almost
original for me.
I almost edited it out. I'm like, I disagree with myself almost immediately after I said my hot take for the Substance. I'm like, it's not like the way I said it, I was like, I almost disagree with myself so much. I almost like, how can I edit that? I don't
That's
think
a hot take. It makes
it was a hot take. You can't get that out. Like, so I was so upset with myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and also, and as
immediately
soon as I
disagreed.
as soon as I just said that too, I'm like, well, it's maybe they're the equal snobbiness. I don't know. I could talk myself in and out.
Both are not for all audiences, right? So it puts it into like a potentially snobby area. One is schlocky nudity and horror, body horror.
Yeah, body horror.
Where this one, I think if this was French,
it'd be fine.
You'd be Russian. Like, yeah, anything
for sure.
Not English language, you'd be like, oh yeah, that was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that it is like she's got this thick Brooklyn accent kind of like makes it less snobby. But I think the nature of the movie is inherently snobby.
Yeah.
I wonder because I anticipate Nickel Boys and the Brutalist to be more snobby than this.
Brutalist, I think, has got a real high chance of being the most.
Yeah, anytime you go past 3 hours, it's gonna be the snobbiest of the snobbies. AI or not.
Speaking of not editing awards,
oh my gosh,
have a movie.
Martin Scorsese's like, hey, I got an idea. What if you just make it longer? Don't listen to him.
Add an intermission. It's fine.
I would say this is. I can't believe I'm saying this. For the movies we've reviewed on this show, it's the snobbiest.
Ever or for this Oscar
season?
Gosh,
no. Freaking not even top 10.
Not the ones we've watched.
Not even top 20
ones we've watched this season.
Yeah, okay.
Speaking of Russian, it's not even the most snobby Russian thing we've done on this at all. We watched The Room. Are you kidding me?
We watched Mirror.
Oh my gosh, The Mirror is the snobbiest.
We didn't watch.
No, we didn't watch The Room. We watched. We should.
It's on the list probably.
No, Mirror is the snobbiest thing we've ever watched.
Oh, yeah.
Next to Tree of Life, maybe.
Yeah.
And Tree of Life is like whoa, really? What's up with the balloons?
Yeah, you
got
balloons.
The piece?
Don't worry about it. I don't know.
Oh gosh, this is why you can't record on
Yeah.
Google Meet. Oh, this is hilarious.
Happy birthday!
Come on. 3 movies last year were snobbier than this by default. Like it's hard because one of the snobbiest movies we watched was Zone of Interest. Like that's one of the snobbiest movies we've ever watched, and it was an award.
thought Anatomy of the Fall was snobbier than anything we've seen this year.
Agreed. When it's not in English, except for like, when Sandra Huller has to speak 4 languages, She should have won Best Actress last year just because of what she did as a whole.
Yeah.
That
Both
should be the
for right
category.
minds, I think.
Oh, sweet goodness. That was so good. Yeah, no, is this just because this year's so not snobby?
Yeah.
It's the snobbiest of this year's of what we've reviewed so far.
Yes.
I think it's the snobbiest of what we've
To be
reviewed far. But that's not saying much. So there we go. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What a weird
You
year.
did it.
Anyways,
It's
hey
a
guys,
weird
if you
year.
guys want to watch, if you ever thought, you know what I'd like to watch? Pretty Woman with a Hangover. This movie's for you, but yet with more nudity. Then Anora
Much more.
is your cup of tea. And you know what? Throw a little Russian mafia into it. Anora is your cup of tea.
It kind of makes you shocked that there wasn't any nudity in Pretty Woman. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
it's
Disney.
Julia.
how could movies get
Disney-
away with not having any nudity back in
The
the day?
gentle-
You made a movie about a hooker and there's no nudity.
I was watching this with somebody else, and it's like,
Well,
this
Jason
goes on-
Alexander did hit a woman in it, so there's that.
Yeah, that's true. We did
He
say
was-
the comment we made when we were watching this movie is like, man, her agent's not nearly as good as Julia Roberts' agent. That's what we kept saying. Her.
Yeah, she said no kissing on the mouth. There
Yeah.
was no rules in this situation.
Oh my gosh. Well, we didn't hate this movie, but we didn't love it, guys. That seems to be the theme of this year's Oscars. You know,
24 or 5 Oscars, yeah.
Sweet goodness. Next week, what are we doing? Are we finally on a complete unknown? Are we on the Nickel
We don't
Boys?
know.
What are we
Could be
doing?
animation-y, could be
Who could be animation-y?
We'll
We'll see.
figure it
So I think Pat, you got a week off, so we'll see what happens. But either complete unknown or animation might be the next. But we're going through the top 10 nominated movies because that's what they do now. And we are super not excited about this year, guys. Just so you know, a little spoiler alert. But who knows? Maybe the next 3 movies will be so dope it'll save everything. Who knows?
That's right.
Anyways, guys, this is Seth from How to Be a Movie Snob. We just watched the film Anora, and I'm joined by
Pat,
I don't know if you're pointing at.
I know, that's great. It was so great because
I went. Now it's you.
But the other is Pat, and then also,
Mariah, Pat.
and we are How to Be a Movie Snob, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.